right, welcome. This is The Way, and I am your host, Leonard O'Neill. Okay, today I'm going to talk about, let me change cameras here. That way, for those of you who are watching the video, you can see me. Namaste. Okay, today I'm going to talk about anxieties. With all the stuff that we have going on right now, I mean, let's face it, we had the coronavirus for 100 days. And they're still trying to whoop up fear about that, the fear mongering. I talk about that on my Orion Rising and Orion Rising news page, but we're not going to talk about that. But you know, with all of that, that was bad enough. And then on top of that, we had that poor guy George, God rest his soul. He was murdered by that police officer. And that sparked a lot of civil unrest. It should have. It should. Unfortunately, there were some bad people doing some rioting. Some young people and ignorant people hopping on the bandwagon and rioting and stealing and looting. That created even more. I mean, still, the entire nation is in mourning, and the world got behind us. That caused and is causing a lot of anxiety around the world because everyone is affected by the coronavirus, and everyone is affected by this tyrannies around the world that are not allowing, that are causing bias and racial profiling, just all around the board abuse of citizens, of peoples around the world. People are getting tired of it, but that's causing a lot of anxiety in the world, a lot, far more than normal. However, there's also underlining things behind the scenes that I'm not going to get into in really in depth right now, but they're also causing that. Okay, the short of it is, we're all here, on this planet at this time. And what are we supposed to do here? These are the questions that everybody asks all the time. It's what we're here. We're constantly asking the questions, trying to figure it all out. Okay, so to the best of my knowledge, this is like it's like a college, it's like a school, and we're here, we're learning and cramming for basically we're learning for the first time what it means to be, a soul, and what that entails and what we have to choose, our curriculum, we have to choose our path. But there's a bunch of things that we have to learn, and then further on we're going to learn them all. So we're getting a tip of the iceberg on all these emotions and all these things that we need to learn, okay, over time as an individual. And that's causing a lot of problems. Well, things run in the universe run in a cycle. Cycles of years, and the cycle here is that we're kind of late in graduating. So what's happening is that's being pushed, and there's a lot of us here that are trying to push that to get that to happen. So unfortunately, there's some people that aren't ready, or they didn't know they weren't ready, and they're being forced into something they're not ready for, and that's causing anxiety. It's not necessarily a bad thing, and that's causing people to have a lot of mental breakdowns. And that doesn't mean that you're defective in any way. That just means that you're not prepared for that at this particular point in this particular life. That doesn't mean that it's even your time. Not everyone graduates. Not everyone moves on. Some people are here for the very first time. And from what I hear from psychics and things like that, it takes like 10 lifetimes before you learn everything you're supposed to learn to graduate. There's a large population on this planet that should have graduated that hasn't. Okay, so that's being pushed. So there's some of you might be here for the very first time. Okay, I know if you're not religious and you don't believe in reincarnation or any of that, everything I'm saying to you right now, you're saying I'm full of crap, and that's okay. It is. You can believe that. That's one of the things that you have here is complete carte blanche. You have complete free will to believe or disbelieve anything you wish. So I don't try to convince anyone of anything. I'm just telling you the way that I know that it is. Okay? Whether you believe that or not, it doesn't matter. Right? I mean, I always say that I can take a horse, or you can take a horse, and you can lead that horse to water, but you can't make it drink. If the horse is not thirsty, he doesn't want to drink, he's not going to drink. If he dies because of you're in the middle of the desert and you just keep taking him to watering holes and he doesn't drink, then it's the choice of the horse not to drink. You can't force it down. Humans, you can stick a needle in them and rehydrate them that way if they won't drink, right? If you have to. I guess you could with a horse too, but if you were in the middle of the desert, you couldn't. It wouldn't be, plausible or probable. So, what's happening to a lot of people is that they're not prepared. It may be that they're not supposed to graduate and move up yet because they still have things to work on in another lifetime. Okay, and that's very possible. And for those of you that are having issues right now that way and you don't understand what's going on and you feel like you're going crazy, it's one of those things. It's either you're not ready to go yet, it's not your time to move up, okay, or you're not wanting to for some reason. Do you understand? Or, and here's the bigger kicker, and this is why people when they contact me, they say I feel like I'm going crazy. Well, in a sense you are, because it feels like that, but you're not. Okay, so the last one is that you're actually waking up to understand what's actually going on, and when that download hits you, you think you've gone insane. It really does that to you. You hear voices, everything just changes. And is that me that I'm hearing? And, and is that and then all of a sudden your ego becomes clearer and you could hear the ego more than just feel it. And so those thoughts are more apparent, because as you start to vibrate at a higher level, the pushback is harder, is higher. And when you get to the precipice of moving into the knowing and seeing of everything that's happening around you, waking up to that is the biggest step. And those things happen like that. And from what I understand, there's times, but they get less. The first one is the one that you think you've gone nuts. You're like, I must be crazy, and you think that, okay, but you're not. You're not crazy at all. You're just, no one's really crazy. Okay, I mean, even if you have voices telling you to murder people, you're not really crazy. You have things going on. Some is a chemical imbalance. So there's things that are going on inside your brain. That doesn't mean that your soul is evil, unless you've chosen to be evil. Do you see? So it doesn't mean that there's something like tripping out. There's an imbalance that sometimes can be fixed. But most of the time it's that. Most of the time it's one of those things. You're being pushed in a direction, and that's what happens when people do have like a psychotic break. Usually it's a very traumatic incident that creates that crack, that split in personalities, and then you literally have multiple personalities. I mean, you have multiple personality disorder, and that happens, and that's a whole psychological rabbit hole we don't need to go down. Okay, but that's not as many as people think. They deem so many people that are just scared and out of their minds because they don't believe it. Most of the people that are these doctors and these scientists, they're mainstream, so they only believe the tangible things. Most of them don't believe in God. Okay, most of them don't believe in any kind of spirituality and nothing after this. You live this life, you die, and that's it. Well, if that's the case, then why worry about trying to fix people? Right? Look, you're defective, go away. Right? So I don't understand why those people who don't believe that still try to help people. Right? You're only going to live once, so, none of it matters. Nothing matters. Nothing would matter. If you only lived once, nothing would matter. If I honestly thought that I only lived once, and that's why you can't think that, because if I did, I'd be the conqueror of this planet. I'd murder all you. Anybody in my path. Because there's no repercussions. Doesn't matter. After this, I'm nothingness. I'm taking everything I got while I'm here. Get out of my way. Do you see? And a lot of people would be that way. A lot of people would make that decision. I only live one time. I got this. That's it. Right? So even if it's not true, you have to have it instilled in you that there is something else. Otherwise, everybody just murders everybody. We keep the population down, though. Okay, so you're not crazy, right? It's just things are coming to a head. There's a lot of changes happening, more than even in the 60s. You know, maybe not. I mean, maybe the 60s were still, you know, the civil rights movement may have still been bigger. It was, at least it was more peaceful, and the people were more motivated. They knew what they were fighting for. Now people really don't know. When you go into the crowd, you don't know. People are half, you know, these group over here want to defund the cops completely and get rid of them. These ones over here, well, maybe a little bit and take some stuff and get reform. These, you know, so they don't really, there's no set parameters. You know, Black Lives Matter, what does that mean? You know, they can't tell you. Reparations, so some of them, they just want you to give them everything, and they want to stay a victim, and some of them don't. So the problem is they're chaotic. The people, everybody, but it's good. I'm not saying that's bad. It is a problem because society doesn't know what to do. But it's, I think, that problem that's going to create more change. So don't stop. And I'm not trying to say you guys to stop in any way. Keep doing what you're doing. We need to talk about all those things. Okay? We as a society need to talk about all those things. And there's more. All right? So it's okay, in my opinion. And whenever the newscasters say that, I'm like, well, maybe it's because you have shoved so many topics down their throat that there's little groups of people now that are going after every topic you has brought up ever, which is true in a sense, right? So, but the problem is then that becomes crazy because then everybody's talking about everything, and the next thing you know, they got cat lives matter, and you got, you know, gay cats matter, and, you know, I mean, it gets kind of crazy, right? Blue whales matter, and so it can get just outright nuts, right? Because there's a lot of things that we need to fix. You know what I mean? No tuna in, or no dolphins in our tuna. You know, I stopped eating tuna for probably 25 years because of that, until I was certain that tuna companies were taking the right precautions to get no dolphins in their tuna. I boycotted tuna for 25 years because of that. Did the tuna industry go under? No, but it did affect them. Me and the amount of people that did that affected them to where they printed on cans, no dolphins. And they took notice because people protested and people went out there and tried to stop them. So this is good, but you're not going crazy. So the topic here is you're not going crazy. You just have to figure out within yourself what one of those things that it is. It's one of 3 or 4 things, like I stated. And then go from there, proceed from there. So if it's not something that happened to you when you were a child and you've had this split and didn't know it, then you're okay. And if it's not, you know, that I am kind of waking up and I think I'm going crazy, then it might just well be that it's all of this is weighing on you because you're not one of those that should be awake yet. And so because of that, it's kind of scrambling your molecules, and that'll happen. That'll happen, get really frustrating. But usually, I will say this, out of everybody that I've talked to in the last 5-10 years, I think it has been 99% of the time, it's been the person is starting to wake up. They're starting to wake up and they have this download swirling around in their brain, and it's like a whirlwind. It's like being in the center of a storm, the eye of a storm, and you're in there and it's just howling wind and everything spinning around you, and you hear all the voices and all the, you know, it's almost like a sci-fi movie in there, and you're hearing the past, the present, and the future all at one time, because that's what's happening to you. Because that's what's happening to you. You're getting knowledge that's coming to you from your higher self, the hall of records, you're tapping into all of that all at once, and it's overwhelming because that's how it hits you. The universe works that way. That's the way the universe works. Okay? And there's a reason for that. Once you get through to the other side, you'll understand that. And I can say it to you, but you won't fully catch the weight of that until you do that, until you push through that. And then everything settles down, and then all of a sudden one day it becomes perfectly clear. And it takes a little bit of time. Not like years, but it takes a little bit of time. Well, it could take years if you keep pushing it back. It'll keep forcing you to the precipice, and then you push it back, and you can only stave it off so long. So you could be pushing back for a couple of years, but it's going to keep dragging you in your. So you could drag on thinking you're going crazy for a while before you give in. And I always tell everybody, surrender to it. Let it take you where it's going to take you, but don't go, okay, I'm going to listen to the voices and start killing people if that's what's in fact happening. Okay? Voices are telling me to murder you, Leo. I'm flying to California. Do you understand? Don't come out here. Okay, so that's why I usually try to talk to you guys when that happens. So if this is happening to you guys out there, you need to find a coach who can walk you through this, who can help you with this. We're out there, millions of us, literally millions of us. I've done shows on this, okay, where I've had other people on and we've talked about it. We had a group show one time. So you're not going crazy. You can actually go and look up on YouTube. I think I'm going crazy, and you're going to find thousands of videos that are going to go, no, you're just waking up. And it won't just be me saying it. It'll be all these other people. Okay? So you just have to, at this point, you have to look within. You have to focus on that and look within and admit to yourself a few things, about yourself and about the universe. And if you can do that and go, okay, maybe there is a higher power. I don't know about this God thing that the Jews talk about, or the ones that the Christians talk about, or even the ones the Muslims talk about, right? You don't know, but you know something's there. You feel it. It's in your heart and in your head. You go, yeah, okay, maybe there is something. I don't know what it is, but a lot of people that are atheists that start to wake up, that have the hardest time because they keep resisting spirituality all the way. I know of my ex-father-in-law. He refused. He was an atheist up until just before he died. Just before he died. And all of a sudden he realized that there was actually something there. Believe that or not, right? And he was an avid atheist. We had many, many conversations over the years. And he, at the very end, had to admit that he could feel that there was something there and he knew it. Okay, so that's what you have to walk through. You have to get through that. And that's crazy enough. So if this is happening to you and you end up hearing this or you end up seeing this, you contact me. I'll talk to you. I can help you through it. Or find someone else that you know that you feel comfortable with and they can help you through this. It's just, you just have to bounce it off somebody, talk it through, talk it out. And once you start to do that, you start to remember a few things, and then everything starts to click and fall into line. Like I said, and then all of a sudden everything will just stop. It does, and you just kind of like the whole air disappears out of the room, and you're like, well, wait, where did everything go? And then it's like there's a reset button, and all of a sudden everything goes, and everything's perfectly clear. You still have to decipher it though. Okay, and so then things come faster. But at the first initial whirlwind, it's insane and you have no idea what's happening to you. I had that happen to me when I was 8 years old. People are having it happen as an adult. Imagine being an 8-year-old little boy. I haven't even hit puberty yet, so I don't even have those emotions thrown around in my head yet, or those hormones thrown around in my body yet. And the universe exploded on me in an instant. I could see the entire universe in my mind's eye, all at once. My head exploded, my brain exploded, I went insane. Luckily for me, my father was there, and I started talking to my father, and he realized what was happening to me, and was like, calm down, son, you're going to be just fine. You're very young to have this happen, though, but you're doing just fine. Let me explain a few things to you. And we had already been working towards that because since I was like 2 anyways, I was born to do what I do here, helping people. I came here to do that. So I was awoken very early. It doesn't mean that I stayed there. Doesn't mean that I became a saint. It doesn't mean that I became the Pope for doing that, right? I'm still a human in this body, and I lived a life like a human, and I did drugs, and I did craziness, and I did debauchery, and I did, you know what I mean? But it's what you do in the human body. There are certain things that happen to you that you have to go through. I had to learn these same things. I didn't just get to know everything. You don't just get to know everything, okay? You still have to learn things, and you have to experience the awakening, the quickening on your own. I mean, I can give you tools. That's the whole thing. I can give you the tools and guide you through it. but you are the one who has to discover it. And it doesn't, you will. It doesn't take long. Trust me. It's just you need a little bit of guidance, and if you don't have that, it takes longer. And if you don't know and you don't have that, it does take longer. And sometimes people freak the hell out and try to kill themselves because they don't know what's going on, or they think, oh, I must be a mass murderer now because I must be schizophrenic, so I must start killing people. You could go. Who knows where you could go without a guide to help you? Okay, you have spirit guides that will pop in and help you, and they try to guide you to the right place. That's why a lot of people all of a sudden find me, because I'm a beacon for that. It's one of the reasons I'm here. Right? Hear him? My cat said, yeah, meow, in the background. So, hopefully this helps in some way. I'm not going to do a real long, I'm going to stop here, but with everything that's going on, it's normal. This happens to people all the time and has for generations, forever. It's part of the growing up as an individual soul in the universe. The way of the design was set down for us to do. So it's absolutely normal. Everyone goes through it. Every single entity, creature, everything that is alive goes through what you're going through right now at some point in their life. And then you go through it over and over again. But you have to have that dark night of the soul before you can have that happen. And it hits you when you least expect it. I will return like a thief in the night, Jesus said. And that's the way it is. That's the way it hits you. It hits you at the worst possible time, but that you set that up. Okay? This whole notion that God has preordained everything in your life, that's not true. God hasn't done any of that. God's not in control of that. How come God let my brother die? God didn't do that. Your brother made a decision and did something that unfortunately someone else killed him, or he got killed, or he died, or he overdosed. Those are experiences that happen. And they're there for him to experience and for you to experience. All of us have to go through all of those experiences, from a very personal level to distant. At some point in time, I committed suicide, and so did you. And if not, you will at some point later in the future. Everybody does everything, right? So you're always a victim and a predator. At some point in your life, you were a predator. At some point, not in this individual life, mind you. You don't go through all that in one lifetime at all. But at one lifetime, you might have been an evil tyrant. Okay? You may not have aspired to, everybody wants to aspire to kingship, everybody's royalty. In a past life, I was Jesus. No, you weren't. In a past life, I was King Arthur. No, you weren't. Everybody thinks I was royalty in Africa. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. Not everybody gets to be royalty. 1/10 of 1% are royalty. Okay? Not everybody gets to be a king and queen. I was a king and a queen 47 times. What are you talking about, Leo? Start that up, you'll hear people saying, I've been here a billion years and I invented the earth. I am the God of all gods. Twice. Well, it was the other time. 3 times. But once didn't count because I killed myself. People come up with crazy stuff like that. Just if you let them run with it, they will. Okay? Some people get stuck when they wake up and they go, I am God. I am Jesus Christ. I am God. Because in the higher scheme of things, you are. But you don't have those abilities here. Okay? Because you're not, in fact. Everything collectively makes up the one true creator. Okay? You're just a little teeny piece. So am I. Little teeny tiny. Little. Imagine that you're like, you're a little teeny electron. Right? Or proton. That's what you are. Compared to, an elephant. You're one little teeny molecule of that elephant. I just used the word elephant because they're big. I could have said whale. I was thinking big, something big. Elephant, big pachyderm. Okay, so, that's kind of the way it is, right? So you're not actually God, but you're a mini God. Everybody has to realize that, right? We don't need to find a savior. We are the savior. We are the Jesus. It's just within us. Okay, so there's that. So this is the talk about the dark night of the soul. The am I crazy? What's happening to me and what's going on in the world right now? It's very very more prevalent, much more prevalent, not very very prevalent, much more prevalent than it has been in the past because everybody's crammed into this this overtime, if you will, because it was supposed to have already happened. And so the people who were here that they were supposed to wake up and realize what they're supposed to learn and then graduate to the next level, whether they're good or evil, haven't done that. So we have this ball of all of us like getting smaller and smaller and smaller because this planet's not supposed to support three-dimensional life anymore, just 1, 2, and 4, and 8. So we're supposed to be moving from there. All right, guys. So have a good night. I have to rescue my cat who's got himself stuck under the covers of my bed. So, all right, have a good night.